In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to search the FBIS for data from multiple different sites. And this can be done in a few different ways. One way you could do that would be to zoom in on the area that you're interested in using holding down the shift key and using the cursor. And then you could draw a polygon around the area. For example, I'm interested only in sites on the Cape Peninsula. So you could draw a polygon around that area and then search for those sites. So that's one way to do it. But another way to do it is to use filters. And I'm going to filter the data on FBIS for data that have been collected more recently than 2015. And as a temporal filter, and I'm also going to apply a spatial filter. So I'm going to filter by province, and I'm going to specify data from only the Western Cape province. And that shows me here that there are over 4,000 records within the Western Cape province since 2015. And you can sort the sites. I'll sort them from number of occurrences, high to low. And once you do that, you can go into the Sites tab and look at which are the sites with the most number of occurrences within your filtered area. And you can also have a look at all the different taxa that occurred within that area. To look at the Sites Overview panel, and you can see each time a filter is applied, it's outlined with a red outline. The Sites Overview panel gives you really just a quick look at the data from your filtered selection. And it starts off with the filter history. So you can see that in this case, it's data between 2015 and 2020 and from just the Western Cape province. You can see that this selection contained data for fish, invertebrates, and algae. And at the top of the biodiversity table, it gives you a breakdown of the data by a number of occurrences and by number of sites. And then the visual representation of the data by origin, endemism, and conservation status for each of the different modules. At the bottom, you can see how many taxa were found within each module. You can then drill down into the detailed multi-site dashboard for algae, or for invertebrates, or for fish. So let's drill down into the fish multi-site dashboard, and it takes a little while to load because it's quite a lot of data that it's loading up. And again, the multi-site dashboard starts off with the filter history that's been applied, a distribution map that's downloadable. Every time you see this icon, you can download an image file of what's included below. And then an overview of the data within the filtered selection. It tells you up front how many taxa are included in that area, how many sites those taxa are from, and how many occurrences have been recorded. Gives you a breakdown of the occurrences by origin, endemism, and conservation status. And then a more detailed occurrence data table that can be downloaded either as a table, or if you go down to the bottom of the table, you have an option to download that as a CSV file, and that gives you the most detailed information for those occurrence data. While that's processing in the background, we can then have a look at the rest of the detailed dashboard. And at the top is a series of pie charts, which really gives you a quick overview of the data. You can see that most of the data for fish in this area were native species. In terms of endemism, widespread, and also quite a few regional endemics. For conservation status, a lot of data deficient species, but also some critically endangered species in other categories. For sampling method, you could see the number of taxa collected, the number of records collected using different kinds of sampling methods. And finally, breakdown by biotope. There's then a visual representation of the data over time by occurrences, by all the different taxa that were sampled at those sites, again shown over time. And you can interact with these sites a bit, with these taxa a bit to remove certain taxa or add them back to your graphs. And any of these graphs can be downloaded as a CSV file by clicking that icon. Then the data are represented visually by origin, endemism, and conservation status, all plotted over time. And finally, there's the metadata table right at the bottom, which shows the different sources behind the data shown in the dashboard. And some of these might be peer-reviewed scientific articles, which can be tracked down using their DOI number, or databases like the Cape Nature State of Biodiversity database, or by a thesis or a report. And some of these are downloadable directly via FBIS. To go back to our CSV file that was downloaded, I saw that download finished. So if I look in my downloads, I can see there's the CSV file for all the fish occurrence data from the Western Cape province between 2015 and 2020. And if you open the CSV file, you really get the most detailed version of the data that you can then analyze further. And it's got some information about the river, the site, it's the site code, the site description, site location, sampling date, detailed taxonomy, and all sorts of other attributes associated with those data records for that area. And that's it for this tutorial. And in the next tutorial, we'll be having a look at searching for SAS data on FBIS.